It's auto-excitability, means it get excited by itself. It is also known as a pacemaker, and about 70 to 75 impulse. How many impulse it generate? It generate about 70 to 75 impulse. If you remember, we said our heart is myogenic, right? The heart muscle itself generates the impulses. So the heart is myogenic, and SA node is a called as a pacemaker. Very important question. How many impulse? 70 to 75 impulse per minute. Very important. The location you know, and it is a auto excitability. After the SA node, there is a atrioventricular node or AV node. There is a atrioventricular node or a AV node which is present on the lower left wall of the right auricle. If you look into a diagram, it is present on the left wall of the right auricle. It is space setter. The one this SA is a pacemaker and AV is a space setter. It creates about 40 to 45 times per minute. The delay between sino and the AV node is 0.1 second. For example, if you remember, this was something like heart, right? Here it was a space AV node. Here it was SA node, and this was AV, right? So SA node will start impulsing first. It will bring the contraction of the right auricle. It sends the impulsing for the left auricle and also excite what? Excite the AV node. This, if you remember the diagram, if you check the arrows, SA node activate or sends the impulses of the auricle, both the auricle, right and left, and also activate what? AV node. Now AV node also create an impulses for 40 to 45 times per minute. It is called as space setter. What is the delay between SA and AV? The delay between SA and AV is 0.1 second. The delay between SA and AV is 0.1 second. Is it clear? Please write down. Any doubts about SA and AV node? Yes, AV nodes bring about the contraction of ventricles. Is it clear? Next. After that, write down. AV bundle or bundle of His. or bundle of his. AV bundle or bundle of his. AV bundle or bundle of his receives impulse from AV node and divides into right and left branches inside interventricular septum. Means receive impulses from AV node and divides into right and left branches inside where interventricular septum. Then what is Purkinje fiber? Propagates impulse to cardiac musculature of ventricles. Write down, I'll explain you this. You should know which is a pace setter of the heart and pacemaker. Okay, the one that initiate, the very important one is SA node. Then comes a AV node. The AV node then activate bundle of his. The bundle of his further divides into right and left branches that enters to the wall of the ventricle. Those nerves, those bundle of his that enters to the wall of the ventricles is called Purkinje fibers, and this everything together brings the contraction of ventricles. Is this point clear to all? Is it point clear to all? Any doubts? Please write down. Next. What is the question, ma'am? What's the fibers are this? Purkinje fibers. These are called Purkinje fibers. That helps in the contraction of the ventricles because ventricle walls are thicker. The contraction of ventricle is why so important, because when the ventricle contracts, generally the blood will move out forcefully and reach to the entire body parts. So the ventricle contraction is more and the ventricle wall is thick compared to auricle. Are you getting the point why the auricles are not thick than ventricle? Why the ventricles are more thicker than auricle? Are you getting the point? Yes, everyone.
Yes,
Okay, next. Uh, now tell me, now you know where is auricle, where is SA node, what does SA node do, what does AV node do, you know this. Now tell me first, which right auricle will contract or left auricle will contract or the ventricles will contract. Who can tell me the way the heart contracts within, there is a delay just of 0.1 second. First is right auricle, yes, she's saying.
right.
Then tell me, get me a sequence. Get me a sequence. Right auricle, then what? Okay, Baba, I know first is right auricle. After that, get me a sequence. Right auricle, then what? After that, what will contract? Okay, first is right auricle, right ventricle, sorry, right auricle, right ventricle. No, very good. There is a right auricle. It's I think Yash has answered it. Right auricle, both right auricle, left auricle, and both the ventricles. Okay, this is just delay. So the contraction important. Abang, please mute your mic. Don't unmute your mic. When your internet connection is not strong. If you have doubts, please text me. So it is the first one, right auricle contracts, then left auricle contracts, then ventricle contracts. Got the point? Does everybody got the point? First right auricle, then left auricle, then ventricle contracts. Is it point clear? Next. Done. Okay. Next. Okay. So we have discussed about the neurogenic and myogenic heart. Give me a minute. Next is heartbeat. Next is heartbeat. What do you understand by heartbeat? What do you understand by heartbeat? Next, we need to discuss about These all are very important questions. I've covered all the important questions from the conduction of heart. I hope there is no doubts. If you have doubts, you can clear it out right now. The next, we are moving to discuss about heartbeat. Rhythmic, contraction, and relaxation. Heart rate is heartbeat per minute. Human is 72 times per minute. Heart rate is inversely proportional to body size. Newborn 120 to 140 per minute. Fetus 140 to 160 per minute. Elephant, the size of the elephant is so big, but the heart rate is 28 per minute. Blue whale 25 to per minute. Please write down. Hello. 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 You have your voice. Mine is dear wala. Which wala? Dear wala. I'll answer this. I don't know. No problem. Electricity, I called for the driver. After that, the mechanic will come. I'll let you know. Yeah, done? Okay. Now, there's a trick for conducting system for the heart. Trick for conducting system of heart. Suzanne and Ritik were partners. This is a trick. What is S stand for? SA node. A stand for AB node. H stand for bundle of His. P stands for Purkinje fibers. Are you understanding? SA is pacemaker. Is it clear to all? Any doubts to anyone? Next. Regulation of heart. Regulation of heart. Center for Regulation of heartbeat regulation is located in medulla oblongata. Okay, it's located in medulla oblongata. One, it can be a nervous control. Other, it is in hormonal control. Nervous control of heart rate by cardiac center is present in medulla oblongata. The heart can be regulated by, one is nervous control, other is hormonal control. The nervous control is present where? In the medulla oblongata. There you have 2 points. One is cardio-acceleratory centers. Cardio-acceleratory center. Other is cardio-inhibitory centers. Inhibitory means it doesn't stop, but it slows down. That is what it means. Okay, doesn't stop. You know, when the heart stops completely, the person stop, right? So inhibitory means it doesn't completely stop. Okay, so you have cardio inhibitory and cardio acceleratory center. Next, cardio acceleratory center means when you do exercise, or when there is an emergency, what happened? Your heart rate increases, or when there's a temperature increase in your body, your heart rate increases, right? So cardio acceleratory centers activate during exercise. Please take the spellings. Exercise, then temperature, then during any kind of emergency. What happened? You um you get your heart rate get increased, right? So these are the conditions where cardio acceleratory centers work. Then when there's an emergency, a pair of sympathetic autonomic nervous system gets stimulated. A pair The pair of sympathetic autonomous system gets stimulated, and this release or acted by a neurotransmitter that is called adrenaline, which is a neurotransmitter which is a neurotransmitter. So whenever there is an increase in cardiac center, when there is an increase in exercise, or when there is acceleration of cardio center, who takes part? Sympathetic nervous system take part. Which is that neurotransmitter? Adrenaline is a neurotransmitter. What happens when if the adrenaline is acted or released? When the adrenaline is released, it increase heart rate, then increase the strength of the ventricles, the contraction increase of the ventricular contraction. Then there is an increase in cardiac output, the blood flow output, the cardiac output is also increased. So whenever there is increase in uh, the heart rate, then there is an increase in all those things, and the not parasympathetic, sympathetic plays a role, and also it is the neurotransmitter that works is adrenaline. These all are the important questions. Autonomic nervous system, Sanjana, we'll study this the, in the brain part. You have autonomic nervous system. Under autonomic nervous system, you have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. The nerve that gets stimulated during increase in heart rate is sympathetic autonomic nervous system, and the neurotransmitter which stimulates is adrenaline. Is it clear to all? Any doubts to anyone? Clear? Any doubts to anyone there? Okay. Next, we have to discuss about cardiac inhibitory center. Where is this cardiac inhibitory center present? It is present in medulla oblongata itself. Baba, respond. Is it clear? Are you all there? Okay. So cardio inhibitory center, where it is present in the medulla oblongata itself. But when does this work? This work when you're resting. See, when you're resting or when you're asleep or when you're relaxed, the heartbeat is not faster, right? They very slow they goes. So that is when the cardio inhibitory center act. That is happen by parasympathetic, not sympathetic. There are two systems, one is sympathetic and other is parasympathetic. This happen in parasympathetic autonomic nervous system and gets stimulated by, and this gets stimulated by a neurotransmitter that is acetylcholine. Very, very important. Adrenaline, excitement, and acetylcholine is for relax. And this acetylcholine, where does it go? It goes and act on SA node and slows down. And what does it do? It decreases the heart rate. When there's a decrease in heart rate, there's a decrease in ventricular contraction. When there's a decrease in contraction, there is a decrease in cardiac output also, and decrease in cardiac output. Please write down and do let me know if you have any doubts. Okay, Rishikas, just a minute. Let them write down, then I'll show you the part. What is that after ACT? Act SA node. SA means what? SA node, sinoatrial node. Acetylcholine will act on SA node. Ma'am, what is MO? Medulla oblongata, Yash. MO is medulla oblongata. I said both the centers are present in medulla oblongata. One is inhibitory, one is excitatory. Any doubts to anyone? Okay. Next. The easy way to remember this is important. They'll ask you which neurotransmitter do what. Important question. The trick to remember this is you can remember as psi. Psi means sympathetic. S is for sympathetic. A is for adrenaline, and I is for increased heart rate. Do you want me to write or you understood?
Ma'am, please repeat.
S is for sympathetic. The trick to remember is psi. S is means sympathetic stimulus. Then A is for, this is S. Then A is for adrenaline. I is for increase of heart rate. Next, PACD. Here, or you can remember it as PAD. You can remember it as PAD, PAD, PAD. Parasympathetic. Then A is again acetylcholine. C only for to understand AC, you can remember acetyl. To remember it is acetyl. You can write adrenaline also. So try to remember as AC pad, but in between there is a C, which is acetylcholine, and then D is for decrease of heart rate. Easy to remember? Don't tell me, ma'am, it's hard to remember. I made you easy. Only Sanika felt it easy. What about others? Difficult to remember. Okay. See, I don't know how well you're doing for other subjects, but I always want you to. My aim is for you to get into the seat. You make the mnemonics if they're not giving you, but you can also make the mnemonics. You can learn and make it your study simpler by making mnemonics or flowchart or any kind of things that make you easy. Is it clear? Remember this. Here, nobody is going to tell you to write about subjective in the medical seat. You know, it's all about your multiple questions. Your concept should be clear. You should know the content. Nobody will tell you to write in a frame sentence or anything else. Just a second. Hello. Yes. difficulties there? Is there any difficulties there? Next. So try to make mnemonics for all the subjects. Okay. Try to read NCERT. Try to make your own notes. The next is endocrine control of HR. See, adrenal gland. Where is the adrenal gland present? Who can tell me?
Above kidney.
Very good. Above kidney. If this is the kidney, here is the adrenal gland. This adrenal gland has two layers. One is adrenal cortex and other is adrenal medulla. So they're having two layers. One is adrenal cortex, other one is medulla. Okay. So the adrenal medulla of adrenal gland. Hormones also plays a role in heart rate. We have discussed both hormones and the nervous system. So now we have discussed about the nerves. We need to discuss about the adrenal kidney, head kidney. Yeah. So there adrenal glands, adrenal medulla of adrenal glands secretes or release epinephrine. Epinephrine, or it is also called as adrenaline, or it is called as epinephrine or adrenaline. So tell me this, as now when adrenaline is released, does it going to activate the XA node or deactivate the XA node? Does it going to act, increase the heart rate or decrease the heart rate quickly? When adrenaline is released, what will happen? Very good, Yash. It works on or act on SA node and increases heart rate. Cardiac output also increases. Cardiac output also increases. Did you all got the point? Next. You have thyroid hormone release. Thyroid hormone is thyroxine. Thyroid hormone, thyroxine, also increase heart rate, increase cardiac output. CT is cardiac output. Note, write down. This much only you need to know about the endocrine control of heart rate. Note, increase in potassium and sodium decreases the heart rate. Okay. Whereas increase in calcium increases the heart rate. Is it clear? There are two terms. One is Tachy Cardia. You should know. It is a condition where heart rate exceeds, that is 90 per minute for an average adult. For an average adult. Means when it is more than 90 or at 90, it is called tachycardia. Very important terms that you should know. It's a condition where the heart rate exceeds. There's other term that also very important. Many times this question is asked, is called bradycardia. Bradycardia means it is lower. It is a condition. It is a condition where heart rate falls below 60 per minute. Are you understanding tachycardia and bradycardia? What does it mean? Is it clear? Any doubts? Tachycardia is above 60 and above 90 and above 90, and bradycardia is falls below 60. Is it clear? These two terms are important. Any doubts?